Well, guys, I don't know if you guys have seen the breaking news coming out of Germany right now, but Joshua Kimmich will be available for a summer transfer. I'll bring up all the details in just a second. Guys, make sure you drop a like on the stream. Make sure you subscribe to this. But I've got to say one thing. If Manchester City don't attempt to get Joshua Kimmich in the summer, then in my opinion, we are seriously dumb. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to 100% get him. And if we don't get him, then everyone can kick off. But we should 100% be putting our name in the conversation for Joshua Kimmich, guys, because he can literally solve so many of our problems. Yeah? People moaning about the right back position. He can play right back. People moaning about the fact we don't have a backup DM for when Rodri's injured or suspended or needs a rest. He can play DM. People think that we need to get a midfielder that can also play a little bit further forward, a la the Gundogan role, a little bit defensive, but can add a little bit of G&A to our game. Kimmich can do that as well. And guys, he's going to be available at a relatively decent price. I'm looking at his contract now. He's got a contract for 1 more year. So, you know, Bayern Munich this summer are not exactly going to be demanding 100 million quid when the guy's got a year left on his contract and he's what? He's 28, he's 29 now. So you're going to be able to get him at a relatively good fee. Now, let me show you guys the breaking news that has been coming out in the recent minutes. This is from Florian Plettenberg, a very decent source when it comes to German news. He says, Kimmich, Bayern Munich are indeed prepared to sell Kimmich this summer if a suitable offer comes in. Now, additionally, Joshua Kimmich is not ruling out a move as well. So he's not saying, I'm now 100% I want to stay. He is open to discussions with a potential buyer. Now, I'll bring the rest of it back up on screen and we'll discuss the rest of what he says there. But I've mentioned this in the past. I just mentioned then Kimmich's age, 29. This is his last big contract. He's got to make a decision now for himself and his family and his career. Because if he decides to stay at Bayern Munich, fair play, everyone will be buzzing for him. He's been at Bayern Munich for a very, very, very long time. Everyone will be like, Bayern legend. He still will be a Bayern legend anyway. But how close are they to winning the Champions League? Are they really going to win the Champions League in the next 2 years? I mean, at the moment, it's not looking likely. And if you look at the way that Real Madrid are adding Mbappe, potentially Alphonso Davies to their team for next season, it's looking like potentially Bayern Munich are not really going to be in for a save for the Champions League. So he's going to look at this and say, if he wants a crack at the Champions League, a proper goal, he might have to make that move, and this might be the time, as he has enough time at Bayern Munich. A little bit similar. And it's a very similar, I suppose, to Harry Kane at Spurs. Yes, Harry Kane at Spurs, comparing it to Joshua Kimmich at Bayern, in the sense that he stayed at Tottenham for ages, and eventually he had to make that decision to leave Spurs to win. Now, Kimmich has obviously won stuff before. He's won the Champions League. He's won the Bundesliga. But if he wants to win stuff again, he might have to make that move. I don't say necessarily he has to make that move to Manchester City. It could be Arsenal. It could be Liverpool. Yeah, it could be whoever. It could be Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG. Who knows? But if he wants to make that move, this is probably the time that he's going to have to make it. Because if he signs a contract extension, next year he's going to be 30. A team's really going to want to buy a player that's 30, getting on for 31, potentially. But this is the time. If he wants to move, this is the time. Let's see what else Florian Plettenberg has had to say about this. He says, still no concrete talks on a new contract behind 2025. I found this very, very, very strange from Bayern Munich. I don't have a clue what they're doing here. Did they want him to play? Do they want him to stay at Bayern Munich? Why are they? What is going on here? And it's similar to the Musiala thing. Why is Musiala still not signed a contract? It's not about money. And it can't be about money with Joshua Kimmich. You're not telling me Bayern Munich, one of the biggest clubs in the world, are haggling with Musiala and Kimmich over money. There's no way. There's no way. This is about, if you listen to what these guys are saying, if you look at what they're saying when they're interviewed about their futures, they don't speak about money. To be fair, no one really speaks about money. They talk about the fact they want to win stuff. Musiala in the past has spoken about the fact he wants to win the Champions League. For these younger players, Champions League is everything. I know Kimmich isn't young, but I'm talking about Musiala here. If you look at Haaland, he loves the Premier League, but he talks about the Champions League all the time. Musiala talks about the Champions League. And Kimmich will obviously want to win the Champions League again. I mean, does he really need to win another Bundesliga? Let's be honest. If he wins 3 more Bundesligas, does it make a difference to his career? No, he don't care about Bundesliga. He cares about Champions League. And are Bayern Munich in a position right now to win the Champions League in the next few years? They're in with a chance. I'm not going to say the crap at it because they're clearly not. But I've watched them a few times this year, guys, and I don't think they're that great. So he's going to have to make that decision. As is Musiala. Musiala does have an extra year on the contract compared to Kimmich. But Kimmich right now, this is his time. If he wants to go again for the Champions League or just experience something new, he's not going to get that opportunity again because next year he's going to be 30. And I just don't see a team like City or other teams like that coming in for him. Now, Plettenberg goes on to say only 5 top clubs are in consideration for Kimmich: Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. Okay, let's dissect this. Zero money, mate. This club is selling grass. Yeah, it's selling everything. It's getting in future earnings. This club ain't going to be able to afford it for me. And do they really need it? You know, they've got some decent players in that midfield area. I don't really think they're desperate for it. Real Madrid, in my opinion, they definitely don't need him. You know, I mean, they've still got Modric, although he'll probably leave in the summer. They've got Tchouaméni, got Camavinga. Yeah, I just don't think that's something that they necessarily need to go for, but they might want to go for it given the fact it is a good deal. I think it's these 3 teams. I think Joshua Kimmich, if he leaves, which I think he probably will be one of these 3 teams. Manchester City, which I want him to, Liverpool, or Arsenal. Now, you look at Liverpool, they need a DM. We've all said they need a DM, but Endo's done really well this year. So are they going to really want to splash out the cash on Kimmich when that could be better utilised elsewhere? If you speak to Liverpool fans, they speak about the fact they need another defender, possibly need another fullback as well, maybe another attacking midfielder. They look a little bit light in that area. Up front, they're kind of stat. They don't really need that. Do they really need to buy a DM? Or is Endo just having an anomaly of a season and maybe next year they don't trust him to continue in the form that he's been playing? Arsenal, again, they got Jorginho, who's actually had a really good season. Thomas Partey's still at the football club, although no one knows what's going on with him. And Declan Rice can also play in the 6. They got Havertz, they got Odegaard, again, and they still got Emile Smith-Rowe, although he doesn't play. Do they really need Kimmich? Probably not. Manchester City, we have no one that can cover for Rodri in that DM position. And when we do, it's a disaster. We need someone. Yeah, we tried with homegrown. We tried with Phillips. Didn't work. You know, a lot of people wanted to give Lavia a go. He was sold. Joshua Kimmich solves so many of our problems. He can play right back. He could invert into the midfield. He can play DM when Rodri needs a rest or he's suspended or whatever, injured. He can play in the Gundogan position of playing in a maybe double pivot with Rodri and going further forward. And he's worked with Pep Guardiola before. I'm sorry, guys. This is just a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer transfer. It's relatively cheap in this day and age. I think you could get him out there for 60 million max, which I still think is a fantastic deal. He's got bags of experience. Yeah, bags of experience. He's worked with Pep Guardiola before, and he's going to be hungry. He's going to be very, very hungry for more Champions League success and domestic league success in England. Guys, we've got to be on this deal. Listen, there's going to be competitors, and of course, Bayern are going to probably throw everything at him to try and get him to stay. So there's no guarantee we'll get him. But if we don't try, if we don't put our names in the conversation to try and get Kimmich, I find that incredibly bizarre. Incredibly bizarre. City should try and sign Joshua Kimmich. Guys, I want to know your thoughts on this one. Give me your comments in down below. Make sure you smash a like on this video as well. Should Manchester City pull the trigger and try and sign Joshua Kimmich? Let me know. Make sure you subscribe. And guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.